Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Fultz. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
Smooth stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Oklahoma International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula iRacing League. Today we're hitting off Season 8, Round 10, the American Grand Prix here at Road America. As always, I'm your host, James East, bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. We've got a busy field here today. Looks like 24 drivers making their way out, and it's going to be a good one. Let us know in the spectator area where you're from, who you're cheering on, as drivers will frequently have this broadcast pulled up on a separate monitor. If not, they just about always go back and watch this thing over again. And with that being said, let's run through the grid. Starting on pole, Raymond Aguilar, that number 1 machine. Jaden Calloway starting second. Shazi Zuhair, a great qualifying, starting third. Nick Beaver starting fourth. Michael Fairchild starts fifth. Antonio Bianchi starting 6th. Nick Peterson starts 7th. Eric Fox, a.k.a. Urko, starting 8th. Ben DePew starting 9th. AJ Brenner starts 10th. Charles Carrener starting 11th. Ryan Tebow starting 12th. Cycled on back to Andrew Neri starting 13th. Gareth McAllister, the world-famous Aussie, starting 14th. Jace Meyer starts 15th. Leo Delmas starting 16th. Xavier Zanave, the Flying Frenchman, starts 17th. Carl Hartwell usually has a gaggle of fans at every track. He's starting 18th. Julius Cervone starting 19th. Max Voorhees starting 20th. Julian Mador starting 21st. Arturo Mayorga starting 22nd. Jeremy Barber starts 23rd. And Eric Guillory will round out the 24-car grid here today. Drivers are lined up, ready to go. We've got Nicholas Trollman here cheering on Eric and Beaver. Dylan Waldron's here. Alex Rhodes. Miss Shapiroful's here. It's a good crowd, and we are underway to start things off at Road America. And it's going to be, my goodness, not a good start. There we go. There's the caution. As that might be the worst start we've ever called here at Team Goon Squad. And we're going to get that one queued up for the fans at home, or we're going to slow this one way, way down to see where all the action happens. AJ Brenner showed involved in the first incident there, the number 80 machine. He's the black and white in the middle of the screen. We've got Todd Miller here. So let's see, we're focusing on Brenner. There's immediate contact. I'm trying to think, was that? Uh-oh. That's our friend Charles Carrener, CK. Getting into Brenner. Looks like he got a little bit loose off the start. And here comes the hits like a Shania Twain concert. I think that was Xavier Zanave I just saw getting launched to orbit. Yes, it was. Andrew Neri's going to be involved in that one. Look at that. They're making some baby formulas here as the field keeps stacking up. Jace Meyer, Leo Delmas all tied up in this one. There is absolute car parts scattered everywhere. So I'm going to take a big deep breath, and we are going to go through the list of affected drivers that were involved in that incident. AJ Brenner, Charles Carrener, Jace Meyer, Jeremy Barber, Xavier Zanave, Julius Savone, Max Voorhees, Andrew Neri, Julian Mador, Arturo Mayorga, Eric Guillory. And I think that's everybody. So drivers who have taken a tow down to pit road that are for certain out of this opening race. Let's get that thing back live. The drivers that are for certain out of this sprint race: AJ Brenner, Charles Carrener, Andrew Neri, Jace Meyer, Leo Delmas, and Xavier Zanave. immediately forced into a retirement. I can't promise you much up here in the broadcast booth, ladies and gentlemen, but what I can promise you is that will for certain be featured on the Team Goon Squad social medias later this week with Crash of the Week, if not the month. Carl Hartwell, Julia Cervone have made it down pit road under their own power. And with Hartwell and Cervone on pit road, that's going to leave 16 drivers out on track. I want to look further back in the field. I'm surprised to see Max Voorhees, a newcomer here. What I'm doing right now is kind of getting the production crew to scan the angles, see if there's any missing wings on any cars. Sometimes drivers will lose a front wing and not realize, and sometimes won't even be shown a meatball flag. We got Rita Zenna here cheering on Carl Hartwell. Dylan Waldron asking, is this crash of the year? This could be. While we have time, and boy do we. See if we can get another shot here. Let's get the League Zero chopper cam and get a great above board. So there's Kariner. He tried to get around a driver that was slow in front, and unfortunately was not the move, as the kids say. And trying to see who is that at the very back in the all green machine. It wasn't Max Voorhees, was that? I think that was Jeremy Barber, somehow showing as the race leader here. So we're going to go on board Jeremy Barber for this start, and he's going to have a great view of some absolute shenanigans in front of him. Barber slow off the line, grabs the upshift, and immediately hard on the binders, and takes a nice leisurely drive through an absolute parking lot here at Road America. Has time to signal, wave to the other drivers that it's their turn at the now four-way stop at the start-finish line. And this sprint race is going to be shortened up. So it looks like it's going to be an 8-lap shootout. For some reason, live timing showing Jeremy Barber ahead of the field. We know for certain that that is not correct. Ray Aguilar having a little bit of fun, so we're going to do another lap here of eye-pacing conditions. Carl Hartwell, Julia Cervone still in pit road extended repairs. Julian Mador, Max Voorhees also down pit road. And I'm curious to see. It does still show Jeremy Barber as the race leader. So there's a bit of a... Oh, there we go. He falls back to 14th. I was going to say there's a bit of a glitch in the matrix there. But it looks like that got corrected. Some drivers trying to keep some heat in these Super Formula machine tires. Barber joining us in the spectator area saying that's a first. I believe that will be Jeremy Barber's first ever lap led here at League Zero. Never mind that it's under a caution, a full course caution. Never mind that it's a bit of a error with live timing. A lap is a lap here, so well done to Barber. So with this start, I believe we should be firing back up this time by. It's going to be Ray Aguilar holding on to the top spot. Callaway in 37 is going to be starting second. Nick Beaver in third. Shazi Zuhair, Antonio Bianchi making up the top five. Now I'm checking here. I don't know if we have an official race control tonight. Normally that's served by Joseph Penn. Looks like he may have the evening off, I'm wondering. So luckily somebody was able to throw the caution after that one. Okay, we did get confirmation from Jeremy Barber that race control is being served by Joseph Penn. So thank you, Barber. You shouldn't be texting while driving, but we do appreciate the update from that number 67 machine. Barber up 9 spots. Who's had the best luck with that early incident? Eric Guillory, the number 95 machine, has gained 12 position. Started at the back of the field and has made his way up to the midway point. So here we go. We should actually start racing this time by. Keep an eye out. The iRacing safety car. Yep, there we go. Dives down pit road. Aguilar immediately on the loud pedal. He wants to get this thing going. Looks like Antonio Bianchi had a great start against Shazi Zuhair. He's going to pull up alongside that number 10 machine. 2 Canadians are going to be battling for the 4th place spot. Looks like Bianchi tucks back in line. And I'm trying to see here. It looks like for the most part, everybody's going to be able to get through that restart nice and fine. Jaden Calloway has company from Nick Beaver, the number 87 machine, right behind. And Calloway almost gets in the back of Aguilar. Goes off track, and he's going to lose a fistful of positions here. Calloway falls back to 8th. We have another crash report. Unfortunately, it was the hard charger, Eric Guillory. Finds himself off track in a precarious spot. Let's see what happened to Guillory here. Is it going to be by his lonesome? Too hot on the brakes. Hops off the racetrack to avoid tagging his competitors. So well done to Guillory for having the know-how. Up front, it's still Ray Aguilar. Beaver has worked his way into second. Shazi Zuhair holding on to that final podium spot here. It's going to be a very brief shootout at Road America in the sprint race. And I saw somebody off track. I think that was Julian Mador. A bit of an off-track excursion there. Mador still up 8 positions. AJ Brenner joining us from the spectator area, a little bit disgruntled with how this race has started at Road America. Hopefully we see that number 80 machine back out on track for the feature event. And we've got something going on up front. It's Nick Beaver. Takes over the race lead from Ray Aguilar. Aguilar is going to be playing second fiddle for the first time here tonight. Shazi Zuhair still very much in the hunt. We've got Mikey Games joining us in the spectator area. There's a fellow streamer I haven't heard from in a while. Here we go, the battle for second underway. Zuhair side by side with Aguilar. Aguilar working the inside line. There's wheel-to-wheel contact in the battle for second. Aguilar ahead by 2/3 of a second. Zuhair holding on to the 3rd place spot as Beaver gets a breakaway. This is what Beaver was hoping for. He wants clean air on the wing of that 87 machine. Unfortunately, we have Andrew Neri, the 64 machine, join us from the spectator area. He's just happy he didn't bring out the yellow flag here at the cheese capital racetrack of the world. Beaver has a pretty commanding gap there, 9/10 up. And I think Aguilar and Zuhair battling side by side is going to slow the pace down slightly now. Behind Zuhair, that's Aguilar's teammate, Antonio Bianchi, the number 17 machine. Trying to work his way a little bit further up towards the front to lend his support. Beaver sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:43.495. He pulled over a second on Aguilar last time by. And it looks like the field stacking up behind that black and purple number 1 machine. Zuhair, Bianchi, Fairchild all in the mix. Not too far back is Nick Peterson, Ben Depew, Jaden Calloway also in tow here. Now this is the sprint race. We've got 12 laps or 30 minutes, whatever's going to come first. Then we have the feature event of the evening. Zuhair still in a heated battle with Bianchi. Bianchi has closed the gap here within about 0.3 of a second of his fellow Canadian piloting that number 10 machine. Bianchi also has rearward pressure. That's Michael Fairchild. Fairchild qualified 5th, currently 5th out on track and staying very, very consistent. This could really shake things up in the point standings, I think, especially with a part-time entry as Nick Beaver. Brought a whole lot of friends out here tonight, helping to put on a show, and these guys are absolutely doing it. Here we go. Zuhair looks to be primed to set up a move against Aguilar into turn 1. They're side by side. This is going to allow Aguilar's teammate Bianchi to close the gap, but Zuhair just set the fastest lap of the race at 1:42.695. Zuhair was surprisingly quick in qualifying, one of the best qualifying sessions we've seen out of him all season long. And these guys are slowing the pace down as they're side by side once more. Aguilar has his teammate Bianchi get him the draft. Aguilar's going to shoot up the inside line. Can he get through? Heading up the hill, there's contact again between the two. Aguilar showing briefly on top, and the teammates are going to make it a 2-for-1. Here comes Antonio Bianchi trying to muscle his way around Zuhair. So now it's Beaver, Aguilar, Bianchi. Aguilar and Bianchi have only had one joint team podium finish where both drivers were in the top 3 once so far this season. They are racing, of course, with Avanti Motorsports. Squid Gang Racing came into tonight at Road America as the team championship leader. That's piloted by Jaden Calloway and AJ Brenner, who is unfortunately having to retire early from this one. Speaking of Calloway, he was the points leader coming into tonight, 48 points up over Ray Aguilar. Spring Flower giving some height to Shazi Zuhair. Zuhair is having a fantastic run here today. I think this is the most consistent we've seen that number 10 machine all season, but now he's got more pressure from Michael Fairchild. Can Zuhair whittle away at the half-second gap that Aguilar and Bianchi have ahead of him? Because behind Zuhair, that's Fairchild, Peterson, Depew. 5th, 6th, and 7th. You've also got another battle. Jaden Calloway putting the pressure on Ben Depew's number 19 machine. Calloway's going to make a lunge under braking, take it over the spot, and something has happened to Shazi Zuhair. He is off in the gravel here. Gutting to see for Zuhair. He was so incredibly quick here, both in qualifying and the opening laps of the sprint. What happens? That's tough to call. I mean, there's contact between him and Fairchild. I don't know how race control is going to call that one. So unfortunately, Zuhair has fallen back to 12th. Hopefully he can get things going and at least get back out here for the feature. What a roller coaster of a night for Zuhair. Gareth McAllister, Eric Fox battling for the 9th place position. I just got a report, Jaden Calloway has moved back up into the top 5 here. That is Nick Peterson, the baby blue number 24 machine, just ahead of Calloway. Aguilar sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:42.48, almost a full 0.3 faster than anybody else on the circuit. I almost wonder, has Beaver backed off slightly in that number 1 spot? The number 87 machine has almost a 2-second gap over the rest of the field. For this being a sprint race, that is almost unheard of. Checking back in. Let's check in on Ray Aguilar. Number 1's position, or excuse me, the number 1 driver, only down 1 spot. But we've seen Aguilar involved in some early race shenanigans and this season and season past, so I think he's just happy to keep his nose clean here. So 2 battles out on track. You've got Peterson and Calloway battling for 4th. And I believe Ryan Tebow, Eric Fox, Gareth McAllister in a 3-car battle for 8th. It looks like Calloway is going to be the first driver out of those 2 groups to make a lunge. Peterson tries to hold the outside line. It looks like he's going to defend. Here comes Michael Fairchild charging back up after a brief bobble. McAllister goes off track. Doesn't lose a spot here though, as Ben Depew pulls up alongside Calloway. Calloway back down to 7th now. Just a couple of short laps left to go here at Road America. And something has happened. Antonio Bianchi is off track. He is done. The front right is off the car. He pulls off into a hot track. What happened to Bianchi? He was running so well in 3rd. He's tucked in behind his teammate Aguilar. Just pushes wide, the car snaps. He's hard on the brakes, but even that light impact was enough to snap the wheel off. So that's going to put Peterson back up into 3rd, but he's got a freight train of drivers behind. That's Fairchild, Depew, Calloway. Within 1 second behind that number 24 machine. It is not over until it's over here at League Zero. Eric Fox has made another move, this time against Ryan Tebow. On screen, that's Fox, McAllister, and Tebow all jockeying for position. Tebow gets shuffled back to 9th. Meanwhile, right ahead, Jaden Calloway. Oh, what aggressive passing going on. That's Calloway and Depew both breaking the rear end free. Looks like Calloway is going to hold on to it here from Depew. Something has happened to Ryan Tebow, one of the nicest guys you can find out on track on any given Thursday night. Oh, just loops the car right into the safety barrier. So now, it's Michael Fairchild up into 3rd. Peterson falls back to 4th. If Fairchild can bring home a 3rd, that will be his first podium of the season here for Season 8. Unfortunately, Miss Shapiro full maybe saw it on the broadcast right after his call. Tebow normally has cat-like reflexes. Unfortunately, just kind of ran out of the 9 lives on that one. As we're waiting to see, can Fairchild fend off and bring home his first podium position of the season. The white flag will be out for Beaver this time by. He has a 2-second gap over Aguilar. Aguilar almost 5 seconds up over Fairchild. And this is about to get really dicey. Callaway making a move against Peterson. So he'll take over 4th. And Callaway is going to very quickly put all of his focus forward on Fairchild to see if he can snag a podium here. He just needs to finish well for the remainder of the season to lock up a championship. And Beaver back on fire, a 142.01, really a 142.008. Now that number 87 machine absolutely ripping it out on the circuit here at Road America. Max Voorhees, the newcomer here, the number 43, has taken over the 12th place spot from Antonio Bianchi. Meanwhile, Ben Depew has grabbed 5th from Nick Peterson. We've got about a half lap left to go here at Road America. And the closest 2 drivers we have on the circuit are Fairchild and Callaway. We're going to be battling for that final podium spot. On one hand, Callaway needs to maximize points and try and keep Aguilar out of the points hunt. But Fairchild driving like a man, knowing he's got that first podium just within reach. They've got about a quarter of a lap left to go here. Peterson and Depew still battling for the 5th place spot. Nick Beaver is going to charge up the hill. And he is going to get the win here at Road America. His first win of the season. Ray Aguilar will get 2nd, and Michael Fairchild will get 3rd. I want to check. This might be Beaver's first win here. No, Beaver has had a few wins to his name, so this is going to be the first of the season for that number 87 machine. And Beaver is going to enjoy the limelight here. Thoroughly celebrating a massive, massive win. So we're waiting on a few more drivers across the line before these results become official. I believe we're just waiting on Jeremy Barber. He's going to round out the field with a strong 15th place position, up 8 spots. And that will put the results, the unofficial results, up on the board. Let's start things off with Michael Fairchild, the 88 machine. Woo! Michael, driving like a man possessed, looking for that first podium of the season and able to make it happen against some very stiff competition.
Yes, exactly. I was just telling the guys, like, I feel like the top 8, maybe even top 10, so tight with the qualifying times. I am sweating over here.
Yeah, I mean, in qualifying, it looked like everybody was separated or right in that 142, and a couple guys hit the 141s, I believe, in qualifying. But an absolute wild race, and with that early caution, did that make the nerves better or worse, having to know we're restacking the field and we're going to do it all over again?
A little bit worse from my standpoint, because right at turn 1 when the flag came out, Antonio just inched me out for the position, so I lost the position right away. So that was annoying. And then, of course, for the restart, everyone's going to be drafting one another. So it's going to be like, who can get on the throttle the soonest?
Now, Michael, it's been since July since we've had you back up here in the top 3. How much of a relief does that kind of take off, getting that momentum and kind of reaffirming your pace and position here at League Zero?
For me, it's really good. I've been really trying to get better and try to keep up with these fast boys, and just to see the actual results of this week, it's really encouraging for the future race.
Well, Michael, we're looking forward to the feature. It's going to be a great one. Just be mindful off the start, as apparently that's the most dangerous part of the track here. But
Exactly.
but before I let you go and unwind a little bit before the feature, who do you want to give a shout to that helped bring home this podium for you and the team?
Shout out to my Gear Fanatec, my wife and kids for letting me race on Thursday nights, and League Zero and Team Goon Squad.
Michael, always a pleasure, buddy. Couldn't do it without you, and hope to have you back up here following the feature.
Thank you.
That was Michael Fairchild bringing it home in third. Up next, a longtime friend, not a first-time caller, Ray Aguilar. Welcome back to the top 3, and man, what a race to start things off here at Road America.
Yeah, the track I'm not particularly in love with, although I do love America. But at the same time, I think it did all right. I could have done better. I got harassed a lot and held up by a couple people, and I think it lost me the lead. But oh well, had a fun time.
Yeah,
How about you?
I had a great time. We were wondering where the caution was off the rip. We've seen starts really struggle with, or the drivers really struggle with starts this season, and it doesn't seem like that's just the back of the field. I mean, you yourself have put in a lot of work kind of dialing in the starts in these super formula machines, but it seems like it's still kind of coming to grips for the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's getting hard to like do these starts. They seem to be inconsistent. Like you could do a start 10 times and it's works, and then you do it from the race start and things seem to be different. So that's why I've had to back everything down a quarter turn just to make sure I don't spin, and I'm still on the verge. It's a real throttle sensitive car. Like if you just tap the throttle a little too hard on that start, if you get above 50% throttle, you're going around for sure.
Yeah, and it seems like that's been the story several times throughout the year. But Ray, you're going to be starting pretty much on the front row right behind Beaver. How confident and inspiring is that to be up towards the front and clean air on the front of your machine off the start, and kind of knowing it's just Beaver you have to worry about ahead of you?
Well, just Beaver, he's a pretty formidable opponent. So like, I'm definitely worried about that. The other thing I'm worried about in this whole shebang is if there's any sort of like pushing around on the start with cold tires, we're gonna all end up in the wall. This is a particularly hard track with the toe and everything else. I'm hoping we don't end up there.
Well, Ray, before we let you go, who do you want to give a shout to? I know the feature event's coming out, and if the sprint's any indicator, it's going to be quite gnarly. So who do you want to give a shout to before you take that brief break?
I'm going to forego that and just say I want to mention YAPAC in the area I live in, which is Tennessee. It's a charity that gives food out to different places, and I'm dropping a bunch of stuff off there this week. I saw a bunch of people there helping out, so instead of me thanking everybody involved, why don't I remind everybody, share something on Thanksgiving coming up here, give to charity, give some meals, do things like that. It makes you feel good.
And we're going to go ahead and put that link in the broadcast chat as well. If there's any other Tennessee locals that want to check that out, YAIOutreach.org. You can join in and support local celebrities. Ray Aguilar, who's supporting his local community. So, Ray, always appreciate you, bud. A hell of a shout out, and good luck in the feature.
Yep. Thanks so much, James. Love you.
Love you too, buddy. That was Ray Aguilar bringing it home in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Nick Beaver in the top spot.
Hello.
Hello,
Wow.
Beaver.
Good to be here. What's going on?
Man, what a race! You're a part-time entry. You've had a ton of second places this season. I believe 4 seconds, a third, a fourth, and all of a sudden it looks like Stella's got his groove back.
Yeah. I'll take it. I don't know if anything happened with Ray. That little incident going into 5 or whatever it is early on, but whatever it was helped, and I will take it.
Hey man, everything you can get, and it seems like the trick here today is once you had clean air on the front of that wing of the 87 machine, it was smooth sailing, setting fast laps all the way up to the very end of this. What's the strategy going into the feature here tonight?
That's a tough one. The draft is super powerful, and I was watching my mirrors a lot. I think as soon as I saw Raymond get side by side, that's when I felt more confident. Like, hey, maybe I got this. He's not going to stay in the draft anymore. So it's nothing I can control. But if I could get second and third to fight a little bit,
Yeah, exactly.
that would be
Slow the
very
pace
nice.
down slightly and break the draft, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's probably out of my control. But if I do fall in line outside of the lead, at least stick with the leader is the goal. Or I really don't know. I haven't started first before, so I guess we'll see what happens.
Oh, God help us all, Beaver. This is going to be wild for everybody involved. And, Beaver, you brought a bunch of friends out here, and they've been working on the car. And something I've seen or noticed you talking about in the past is struggling when to use the push-to-pass throughout a race. Is that something you've kind of dialed in over the last few races?
No, not yet. My strategy is still use it in the last 2 laps because I don't know when to use it otherwise. Yeah, I wish I knew, but maybe in this race I'll figure it out. Maybe it's a way to hold on to the lead. But the people behind you can respond. If you use it one straightaway or one lap, they can then, if they stay in your draft, they can use it the next lap. And it's really tough to defend with it, I believe. I haven't had to do that yet. That's just something I've made up in my mind. But we'll see what happens in this next one.
Well, it's going to be exciting for the fans and friends who are watching. I know you've got a bunch of people supporting you, so you've got the final send-off for this sprint. Who do you want to give a shout to that helped make this massive win possible for you?
Well, first of all, it's great to have Charles and Eric Fox here. I'm not going to try to pronounce Charles' last name, so we'll just call him Captain CK.
Cariner.
All right, I've known him a long time. And then shout out to Nick and Kennedy. They are watching the stream, I think, so thanks for watching. It's very cool to have that support.
Beaver, it's always a pleasure, bud, having the booth, and no matter what show we're putting on, best of luck in the feature event, and we're all rooting for you up here.
All right, thank you so much. Hope to be back in a few.
Yes, sir. That was Nick Beaver bringing it home in the top spot of the sprint. He was accompanied by Ray Aguilar and Michael Fairchild. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with more action here at League Zero, where we will have the finale, the final format of the night, in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back, race fans. It's time for the feature event, and we have set the stage with the finishing result from the sprint. So it is going to be Nick Beaver in the top spot, Ray Aguilar starting second, Michael Fairchild starting third, Jaden Calloway starts fourth, Nick Peterson starting fifth, Ben DePew starting sixth, Eric Fox starting seventh, Gareth McAllister starting eighth, Julian Mador starting ninth, Shazi Zuhair starts 10th, Arturo Mayorga starting 11th, and Max Voorhees will round out the top 12 with that inversion. Looks like Ryan Tebow has parked in the number 27 machine. Will not be returning out on track with us for the feature. As the lights are off, we're underway, and a terrible start from Beaver. Is the field going to survive the starting line? Looks like the start is good now. Everybody bides their time through turn 1. Julian Cervone off track is going to be our lone driver in the number 18 machine, taking a trip through the gravel trap. Aguilar in the top spot. Callaway has moved up to second. Beaver down 2 spots into third at this point. And who's that taking a lunge? That's Ben DePew looking to the inside line of Fairchild. No such luck. Oh, we got somebody off track. That's AJ Brenner. And I'm hearing more crashes behind. Julian Medor off track. It looks like Andrew Neri has some sort of issue. Let's see what happened to Brenner first. So there's Brenner trying to dip, dodge, and weave. And what happened to Andrew Neri there? That's Neri, the number 64 machine. Oh, I'm not quite sure who he hit. I think that was Leo Delmas. I can't tell if Delmas was getting loose there and Neri finished him off, or just 2 drivers trying to occupy the same spot. Jeremy Barber is going to have an off-track excursion, a big one. And so is Jace Meyer. So they are starting to drop like flies here in the feature event. Aguilar has company with Jaden Callaway. Beaver has company with Ben DePew in the battle for third. Aguilar holds onto the race lead, so now it's Aguilar, Callaway, DePew. Beaver has fallen back to fourth. Now the top 4 drivers have about 1.2 seconds up over Michael Fairchild. Fairchild has Peterson in tow, and behind these guys by about 1.2 seconds is Bianchi, Fox, and Zuhair. And you could throw a blanket over these 3 drivers. Charging down the hill, I saw a big lockup. Oh, and somebody just bent it. That was Michael Fairchild. Oh, what happened to Fairchild in the 88? Looks like a big lockup on the outside. Oh, and just loses it, putting the power down. The car spits itself around. And unfortunately for Fairchild, he is done and out of this feature event. So right now it's Fairchild, Delmas, Neri, who were forced into an early retirement. Ryan Tebow unfortunately did not start this event. And Todd Miller is going to be disappointed knowing that his favorite driver is done and out of this one. I do like the turkey leg motivation, though. I'm going to have to use that for my racing friends in the near future. Looks like Nick Beaver has caught back up to Ben DePew. This is going to be the battle for third place on screen as they're side by side heading into turn 1. Beaver's going to hold the inside line. DePew backs out of it, looking for a slow in and fast out momentum. So Eric Fox, Gareth McAllister have both come down pit road for a green flag stop. Now there is a mandatory tire stop here at League Zero. Drivers have enough fuel to make it till the end. And look at that, there's AJ Brenner. He's looking for redemption here. Has caught up to Mayorga in the number 55 machine. Mayorga, I believe, a newcomer here at League Zero. A bit of a lockup there from Mayorga. He's going to lose the spot to Brenner, but he's going to keep that car with forward momentum. When we've seen so many drivers already have big incidents, that is very important to keep things going here. Ray Aguilar, your race leader, has company. Here comes Jaden Callaway within a quarter of a second. Really didn't get to see these guys battle too much in the sprint. And if they start battling too hard, that's going to allow Nick Beaver 9/10 back. May allow Beaver to interject himself back into the top 3 party. Aguilar and Callaway blasting up the field, blasting up the hill, separated by about 3.5 tenths of a second. Callaway in the draft trying to close it from way, way back. Beaver lagging about 1.1 seconds behind. AJ Brenner is going to come down pit road for a green flag stop. And Shazi Zuhair just sets the fastest lap of the race while sitting in 7th. A 1:42.39. Beaver has been to Pew in the 19 machine, closing the gap behind. I'm very interested to see, will these top 4 drivers tighten up a little bit? Back in 9th, Carl Hartwell having a battle with the flying Frenchman, Xavier Zanave, as they head up underneath the Corvette bridge. Oh, and Hartwell's going to push wide there. Losing a spot to Mador, Zanave, Mayorga. Hartwell falls back to 12th. Still up 5 spots from where he started, though. But it just takes a momentary lapse in conversation. And I think Hartwell driving a little bit of red mist there, getting frustrated. And the problem's starting to get exponentially worse. Hartwell, always a fan favorite in that 79 machine, brings out a good crowd each and every Thursday night to support his online racing shenanigans. Aguilar and Callaway still separated by 4 tenths. Seems like Callaway just not quite able to close that gap, and this time Aguilar sets the fastest lap. A 1:42.62, so the pace starting to quicken here up front. Now 17 drivers out on track have yet to come down pit road. Let's make it 16 as Jace Meyer, the number 20 machine, coming for an undercut. He's going to box on lap 5. Callaway still about 3 tenths back here from Aguilar, trying to close the gap. We're on board that 37 machine. Now Callaway doesn't necessarily need to win here at Road America in the feature event to continue leading the championship points. Just has to keep Aguilar within striking distance. But knowing Callaway, I think he's going to push pretty hard here. On the push to pass, trying to pull up alongside Aguilar and very quickly make something happen into Canada corner. So Callaway, that's going to be his 3rd spot gain. And this is where we've seen Callaway do some pretty spectacular things. When he's out front, clean air on the front wing of the 37. He can put down some incredibly fast lap times. We're waiting for the lap times to update. And there he goes, the fastest lap of the race at 1:42.61. Callaway in a good groove here. Ryan Tebow joined us from the spectator area. An angry Canadian, I've never heard of such a thing. Especially from Tebow, that's hard to imagine him getting flustered. But good to see him join us in the spectator area, saying hello to all the fans that came out to support him and cheering on his friends, especially Ray Aguilar, who seems to be sticking with Callaway here. Now Jace Meyer has retired and taken a tow back to pit road after some sort of incident. Let's get that replay queued up of Meyer and see what sent him in that number 20 machine home early. Just loops it, and unfortunately the car gets all explodey on him. On board Ben Depew, the number 19 machine. He's up 2 spots, running 4th. And not quite in frame yet is Peterson, Bianchi, and Zuhair trying to close the gap. Now these drivers are about 2.5 seconds back from Beaver, who holds on to that final podium spot. But it's a long format lap or feature here where we've got 24 laps up on the board. And Ben Depew has Peterson, keeping him in tow after Peterson completed that pass. Shazi Zuhair comes down pit road. Xavier Zanave is going to retire the Flying Frenchman. The number 12 machine has issues. Looks like it's going to be in the Canada corner. Does he get some help? No, he does it all on his own. And takes a tow. Now, we also got to report Ray Aguilar had an off track. Didn't lose too much time here. Still within 0.4 of a second of Callaway. Shazi Zuhair, he's down pit road for a green flag stop. And there's the battle for the top 5. Peterson, Bianchi, and Ben Depew. Oh, it looked like Depew too late on the brakes. He's going to lose a lot of ground there to Bianchi. Now a 1 second deficit to that 5th place number 17 machine. I saw another battle possibly shaping up. It was Julia Cervone made their way around Arturo Mayorga. Mayorga is still up 1 spot, holding on to that top 10 position. Another notable entry here, Max Voorhees, the number 43 machine. Brand new here to League Zero. He is up 5 spots, running 7th. He described himself before we started tonight's events as slow but friendly. So good to see the newcomer in that 43 machine out on track. Just clicking off laps and learning from some of the best Super Formula drivers on the service. Looks like Charles Carrener involved in a battle against the 79 of Hartwell, the French Canadian. A very part-time entry here at League Zero is our hard charger out on track. He is up 10 positions so far and holding on to a current 12th. Now, nobody inside the top 12 at this point has come down pit road. Carrener taking over the spot from Hartwell on the 79. Hartwell did not get the opportunity to turn really any laps in the sprint race. So he's a little bit on the back foot here as most of the other drivers were able to complete that 12-lap sprint. On board with Hartwell, pulling up alongside Carrener into the hard braking zone. Does a good job, but keep an eye on the left side of your screen. Now it's the right. Carrener fires back. I wonder if this is Carrener we're watching in real time, getting more familiar and used to the car. I believe he might have completed maybe one other Super Formula race this season. Yes, Carrener ran last week. At Zandvoort, the GP layout. And it's starting to maybe make some more entries out on the track here. That'd be great to see. We've got a battle for 4th. Longtime rivals and longtime friends. Nick Peterson, Antonio Bianchi battling for that 4th place spot. Up front, Aguilar is keeping Callaway within striking distance. Aguilar set the fastest lap last time by, a 1:42.51. And it seems to me just content keeping Callaway within that striking distance, while Peterson and Bianchi are going to battle under braking. Bianchi taking the spot over here from the 24. Bianchi had great pace in the sprint before things just kind of rapidly devolved for his race program. So good to see him back out on track, up 9 positions. And let's check back in. Jaden Calloway still leading this thing. It's been accordion back and forth between about 1/10 of a second to 4/10 of a second, as Aguilar following along here. We haven't been able to see these two drivers have a proper shootout in quite a while. And I'm very interested to see what the pit strategy is going to be between these guys as well. I mean, that's a great example into turn 1. Callaway gets right up on him. Excuse me, Aguilar gets right on the back of Callaway, and then just seems to lift a little bit early. I wonder if Aguilar is doing a little bit of fuel saving here so he can stay out an extra lap. It's very early to call. The fuel window officially is going to open up. I guess I should say the tire window is going to open up at around the halfway mark, lap 12. But we've also seen drivers waiting basically until right before the white flag is out to take their mandatory tires, and that will minimize the time they're out on track with cold tires. So I'm very intrigued to see what the strategy is going to be here. As now Bianchi has company. Here comes Ben DePew, and something has happened. Arturo Mayorga involved in a big incident in the 55 machine, showing a crash report. Will lose his spot to Carl Hartwell. It looks like it's going to be under braking here. Spins it around. And Charles Carrener, Carl Hartwell. What a great reset there by Mayorga. Always great to see new drivers coming out on track here at League Zero. Callaway has Aguilar showing a wheel just before the halfway mark, so looks like Callaway's not going to contest it. Aguilar takes over the race lead. Meanwhile, Peterson, Bianchi, DePew are down pit road. Your top 3, Aguilar, Callaway, Beaver opt to stay out. Voorhees and Mador staying out as well. They're going to move up into the top 5. Really cool to see these two titans of League Zero, Aguilar and Callaway, running nose to tail, measuring each other up. And it looks like we have a battle for 4th as well. Newcomer Voorhees versus Julian Mador. The 43 of Voorhees, the 78 of Mador. Well, looks like Mador taking over that 4th place spot under braking. Another, a frantic 3-car battle. It's the battle for 10th. Peterson, Bianchi, Zuhair. And a nice and tidy battle for the top 10. Now they know everybody in front of them still has to come down pit road. And we had, unfortunately, a crash report for one of the most improved drivers we've seen here at League Zero. It's going to be Jeremy Barber. Looks like it's indicated a corner. Looked a little bit offline there. Dips the tires. Comes to a stop while the field makes their way around. Now up front, Aguilar clicks off the fastest lap of the race again, a 1:42.51. But let's go back to that 3-car battle for 10th. Bianchi, Peterson, Zuhair. And the sprint all had great pace, all struggled slightly with consistency. Right behind them, that's Ben DePew and Eric Fox battling for the 13th place position. Peterson and Zuhair still side by side. Looks like Peterson's going to hold on to 11th here. Bianchi has extended that gap 1.7 seconds over the battle, but now you've got Eric Fox, Ben Depew right in the mix as well, hungry for some better finishing positions. Now, Eric Fox came down pit road on lap 2, Ben Depew on lap 10. So Depu's tires should be getting fairly up to 10 here, and they're all right behind Zuhair's number 10 machine. Ray Aguilar down pit road. Nick Bieber will follow suit. Jaden Calloway staying out another lap here. I'm extremely interested to see how this is going to shape up once the pit cycles are finished. Still have about 6 or 7 drivers who have yet to box. Again, it's a mandatory tire stop. Julian Medor also down pit road, as well as Julia Cervone. Aguilar hits his pit stall. Let's keep an eye out on the time here in the broadcast booth. In and out in 7.1 seconds. So that is the time Calloway needs to beat when he finally comes down pit road. 5 drivers have yet to box here. It's Calloway, Voorhees, Aguilar, Cariner. No, excuse me. Calloway, Voorhees, Cariner, Hartwell, and Mayorga, the only drivers who have yet to box. Jaden Calloway, I'm expecting, if Calloway doesn't come down pit road this time by, expecting a pretty quick lap. He did a 1:42.87 last time by. As now Aguilar is on his out lap. Aguilar, after that lap 12 pit stop, still holding on to third. The big question is, where is he going to be in relation to Calloway after the pit cycle is completed? Calloway coming down pit road. Voorhees in second. Not sure if anybody's told the newcomer that he has to have a mandatory tire stop. I wonder if he's mighty confused on why everybody else is coming down pit road throughout this race. Let's see, does Voorhees get the memo? Yes, he does. Dives down pit road. We're waiting for Calloway to get to his pit stall. It's all the way at the end, an extremely long stretch of pit road, but it's the same for everybody. What's the pit cycle going to be? 7.33 seconds. Calloway was about a quarter of a second slower than Aguilar on pit road. There goes Aguilar. After the pit cycle, Aguilar about 0.6 up over Calloway. Both drivers have push to pass available. So the top 3 remains the same. Aguilar, Calloway, Beaver. We get the pit lane time pulled up on the right side of your screen. Only Carl Hartwell has yet to come down pit road. And this kind of paints the tale of how consistent these drivers are on pit road. One of the fastest we saw was Cariner in 15th at 6. Oh no, it's going to be Guillory at 6.4 second pit time. The slowest looks like it's going to be Mayorga, who had problems on pit road in 8.9 second pit stall time. And Aguilar now has a 1.2 second gap over Calloway. Now, I think it's important to remember, Calloway has nothing to really gain here by pushing too hard to try and track down Aguilar. If he's thinking of championships in the back of his mind, surely he knows second is going to be good enough here to continue his points lead at Road America. Aguilar clicks off the fastest lap of the race, a 1:42.49. Calloway was on his out lap there, so we're not quite sure what's it going to be. Carl Hartwell down pit road for his one and only planned stop of the evening. And what is Zuhair doing out there off track? Made his way around Bianchi. And now here comes Nick Peterson and Eric Fox. Great racing all across the circuit here at Road America. And we are officially past the halfway mark, 15 laps into the 24-lap feature event. About 9 laps left to go. About the same time of green flag laps we got in the sprint race earlier on here tonight. After the starting line calamity is what we're going to call that one. A day that will live in infamy here in Wisconsin. Looks like Zuhair has pulled about a 6/7 gap on Bianchi. Bianchi still has Peterson, Fox, and Depew right in tow. Depew kind of a newcomer here. In this battle, at least, he's closing the gap back up. Still down 2 spots now. Hard charger out on track, though. AJ Brenner, that number 80 machine, he is up 12 positions, up into 9th. Overcoming adversity for sure here. My apologies, I'm taking some cough medicine, so hopefully that didn't come through on the broadcast. But Jaden Calloway answers with the fastest lap of the race, a 1:41.94. Only about 11 hundredths of a second faster than Aguilar's best time, but Aguilar also set his best lap last time by a 1:42.05. So as the fuel load starts to decrease for these drivers, the lap times will get progressively quicker. I'm excited to see what Eric Fox here is going to do against Peterson Bianchi deep into the braking zone. He's got the inside line against Peterson, backs out of it, not wanting to push too hard and wash the front end out. And this is going to be spicy. Ben Depew also closing the gap up. Let's see, Fox within 0.2 of Peterson here. Oh, what's going to happen? Gareth McAllister. That can't be right. It shows him with 57 off tracks in this event. I don't believe it. And here we go. Peterson and Fox are going to be side by side in a 1. Peterson holds the outside line, carries a little bit more momentum. But you can tell Fox really hunting here to get further up inside the top 10. Side by side, they go once more. It's going to be a battle under the braking. Fox looks like he's going to have it, pushes wide. Peterson goes back around. Ben Depew's going to grab a spot here from Fox. And unfortunately for Fox, it's going to take a couple more laps to build up that momentum. Still great race on the circuit. Max Voorhees, Charles Carrener battling side by side. Carrener taking over the 13th place spot from the number 43 machine. And we've also got a report, Jaden Calloway has closed the gap back to Ray Aguilar. It was very briefly less than 1/10 of a second between these two. I didn't see anything on the broadcast software reporting any issues for Aguilar, any off tracks. We'll see what the lap times show here, but he lost a ton of time to Calloway. Aguilar a 1:43.94, Calloway a 1:43.31. Still nose to tail here through turns 2 and 3. We got Adam Henwood. That's a guy I've heard from recently. He's cheering on Urko and Beaver. Beaver currently 3rd out on track. Urko, aka Eric Fox, 7th out on track. And let's not forget Charles Carrener, and known in other circles as Captain CK. He is up 9 positions, running 13th on the circuit. For his 2nd race in a Super Formula, Charles Carrener has been getting very comfortable very quickly. We've seen him go fast in all sorts of different cars, as it looked like Callaway gave maybe a little bit of a bump there to Aguilar. That's going to give Aguilar just under a 2nd advantage back to that number 1 machine, the defending champion. But the points leader Callaway right behind. Now Callaway is going to have to rework back in his favor to track down Aguilar. But again, surely Callaway knows this is not a must-win situation. He's got to be focused on championship points at the forefront of his mind. And we say it every week. That being said, racers tend to race and leave it all on the track. So as much as I would like to think Callaway is going to play it easy here and lock up a 2nd with about 5 laps left to go, I'm willing to bet at least $1 he gets back on the loud pedal, tries to track down Aguilar. Ben Depew, AJ Brenner side by side in the battle for 8th. Brenner taking over that spot. That's his 13th gained position here. Ooh, a little bit of a bobble there for Brenner. But it looks like Depew kind of followed exactly the same. Now your top 3, it's Aguilar, Callaway, Beaver. Zuhair and Bianchi make up the top 5, but if we pan to Bianchi, I don't think a top 5 is necessarily locked in. Bianchi has Peterson, Fox, Brenner, and Depew starting to all close the gap behind that purple and black and teal number 17 machine. Nick Beaver in 3rd, set his fastest lap of the race last time by a 1:42.39. Now you heard in Beaver's interview after the sprint, still kind of getting used to when to use that push to pass and playing that game of chess, but it looks like Beaver is somehow catching up to Jaden Callaway. It's a race of attrition here at Road America. Some very, very long laps. We're on board that 87 machine of Beaver on the start-finish line. Is he going to take a lunge on the inside of turn 1? Yes, he is. Beaver is going for it here. Doesn't push too hard. Holds onto the position quickly, putting about a half-second on Callaway. And notable mention, AJ Brenner back in 8th. Our hard charger just clicked off the fastest lap of the race, a 1:41.84. So Brenner is moving here with 4 laps left to go. I'm very intrigued to see if Beaver has enough time. There's Jeremy Barber temporarily parked in the impact zone. I believe he saw the race leaders coming by and said, you know what, I'll just sit here for a second. Beaver trying to track down Aguilar. 2.1 seconds separating himself from the race leader. Let's go back to AJ Brenner. Oh no, something has happened to Eric Fox. His cars went all explodey here. Let's see what happened to Fox. He was running so well. It looks like it's going to be the final corner. Grabs a little bit of grass. It absolutely obliterates that number 33 machine. Unfortunately, Fox is going to be retired here with just a few laps left to go. The rule is here at League Zero, if you take a tow to pit road, you are done, you are out, and you are going home. So unfortunately for Fox, was running so well. That's another one of those drivers, I think, as he puts more seat time into these League Zero Super Formula backed machines, he will very quickly be up towards the front. Here's the battle for fourth. Shazi Zuhair and Antonio Bianchi separated by about 0.3 of a second. They've pulled about a 1.2 second gap over Peterson, who has Brenner and Depew right behind him. On board with Bianchi, the Italian stallion. He is up 8 positions so far. As unfortunately a lot of Eric Fox's friends in the spectator area absolutely gutted to see that number 3 machine going home early. Adam Henwood, Dylan Meyer, that tube surfer, all super bummed, and it looks like Urco has left the team hauler as well, leaving Charles Carrener and Nick Beaver to have their own conversations. Now Carrener during that must have got a little bit of motivation knowing his teammate went home early. Has made a pass against Servone's number 18 machine. Carrener, that's going to be his 11th spot gain in the 76. He's got the pace now. I think Carrener just needs the consistency as he gets used to this car adaptation. Top 3, Aguilar, Beaver, Callaway, still separated by a fair amount of time. Beaver has reeled in Aguilar to within about 1.8 seconds, so he's gaining time. Just not enough here, I think. And not enough quickly enough if he wants a shot at battling Aguilar. Let's go on board Bianchi, closing the gap to Zuhair. A number 10 machine, separated by about a half second. It's about to be wide open for these drivers down the back section here at Road America. Both drivers very equally matched here on pace. Now I'm going to wait for the lap times to update. I believe they have, yes, a 142.4 for Aguilar, a 142.26 for Beaver. So he's still gaining ground very slowly on the race leader. But the white flag comes out next time by. Meanwhile, Ben Depew, Nick Peterson battling like it's the last lap of the race. Depew gained 2 positions that lap, one on Peterson and one on AJ Brenner's number 80 machine. But let's go back up front rather quickly. I saw for a moment Beaver had pulled the gap within 1 second to Aguilar. I think Beaver had a very slight bobble into 5 under braking. One of those corners you can come in a little bit faster than you're expecting. It's easy to come in extremely fast. It's much, much tougher to carry the corner speed on exit. One second separating Aguilar from Nick Beaver. There's Aguilar out front, the purple and black. Beaver right in tow there, the red and white number 87 machine. Beaver within about 8.5 of a second. The white flag is being unfurled at the start-finish line. Here comes Ray Aguilar I think that maybe Eric Guillory just ahead of the race leader. He's going to get the blue flag. Aguilar trying to pick up the draft off of him. White flag is out. Beaver just set the fastest lap of the race at 141.2. He was 7/10 faster than Aguilar last time by. We've heard Beaver's strategy. Just hold it wide and use up all the push to pass here at the end. Eight-tenths separating the two. Beaver on the push to pass. Drivers have 200 seconds of push to pass allocated throughout the race, but now Aguilar also on the push to pass. There's a brief recharge moment, and it looks like Aguilar has used up most of his here, I think. Beaver still 3/4 of a second back from Aguilar. This is the final lap to make something happen. Less than a half lap left to go here at Road America. Aguilar leading the field, 6/10 up over Beaver. Callaway 11 seconds back. What could be the battle for the lead. Beaver closes it within a half second, 4/10. Aguilar has used up all the push to pass available to him. Is Beaver close enough to work the draft out of the final corner? He's a half second back. It's gonna be mighty close. 4/10 separating the two. Beaver trying to hammer down here. It's within a 1/4 of a second. 1/10 of a second. It's less. At the line, it's Nick Beaver brings home the top spot. The fastest lap of the race, a 140.94. Beaver was absolutely flying there. Aguilar gets second. And Jaden Callaway gets the top 3. We're going to try and get these guys up here to victory lane. My goodness, that's probably one of the best finishes I've seen at League Zero in quite a long time. And Beaver is going to make it back-to-back here at Road America. A very difficult feat to do. We've got Callaway, we've got Beaver. We're going to start getting these drivers up here to victory lane. Starting with Jaden Callaway, the number 37 machine. Jaden, you had the pace. At one point, I thought I could see the gears switch in your head, and you started thinking race win, race win, race win, to let's walk away with a championship at the end of the season. But correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah, it was going really well. It was going exactly according to plan, and then I think Ray just slowed down a little bit more than I anticipated, and I got into the back of him and ended up getting some damage. But I think it would have been a race until the end for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were running so well, and Jaden, correct me if I'm wrong as well, that's probably the closest racing we've seen between the two of you guys in a while. It seems like in the last few weeks, either one of the other of you guys, or sometimes both at the same time, involved in some early race misfortune, and we really haven't seen you guys go to head-to-head as much as we would like.
Yeah, usually one of us has a really good race and the other is just unlucky. So tonight was definitely probably the closest we've been this season, but I'm looking forward to racing him more.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, nothing but love on and off the track. Great competition out there each and every time, and still should be leaving Road America with the points lead, so you've got to be all in all pretty pleased with how tonight went for you.
Yeah, definitely. Considering how the sprint went, I was able to make up some spots and at least challenge for the win in the feature, but even though it didn't happen, I'm still happy.
Well, Jaden, it's always a pleasure. You have a great attitude every time you're up here in the booth with us, and it's a lot of fun for me calling the races and getting to talk to you. Before I let you go, who do you want to give a shout to that helped to bring home this third place podium position?
Yeah, as always, my friends and family watching and supporting my team, Squid Gang Racing, my teammate AJ, and I'm gonna shout out Nick for winning 2 races in a row tonight. That was great, so congrats to him.
Big ups, Jaden. Always appreciate you, bud, and glad to have you back up here.
Glad to be back.
That was Jaden Calloway bringing it home in third. Up next, the man, the myth, the legend, my friend Ray Aguilar bringing it home in second. And Ray, I didn't know who was going to bring home the win at any point in this feature event.
I know it was kind of variable there. Had to save some fuel. I guess I gave Jaden some damage there from fuel saving. I should have told him.
No, I mean, and we were talking to Jaden about that, and I'm glad you're next in line. I think that's the closest racing we've seen between the two of you guys all season long. It seems like each and every week either you have bad luck, he has bad luck, sometimes you both have bad luck, but it's not often enough we get to see the two of you guys truly duke it out head-to-head out on the circuit.
Yeah, that was fun. I think we were just kind of cruising in the beginning, idling along, just passing each other, bunny hopping, trying to get a gap built on Nick. And it wasn't until about halfway through I looked up and realized we were getting short on fuel. So had to do some saving towards the last half of the race. Thought I had it in the bag, but man, that push-to-pass button drinks more fuel, and I sputtered coming across the line and gave up the win over it. I should have held off a little longer.
Well, Ray, early on the season, we could sense the frustrations out of you and that number one as well as the team, but are things starting to turn around, get a little bit more momentum, and more importantly, are you having fun again driving these cars?
Yeah, I like the having to worry about fuel element. I like the stop strategy stuff that worked out nice. It's getting better. We got to get more consistent finishing going across. That's when I have the most fun, is when I consistently finish and not where I have DNF finish or DNF win, that kind of thing.
Well, I'm glad to see you getting back out there. Got your dancing shoes on. A great run out of that number one machine. And before I let you go, Ray, who do you want to give a shout to that helped bring home this podium for you and the team?
I want to thank my mom and mother-in-law for putting up with all the noise tonight, and my teammate for helping me try to figure out the strat and get through the race. Unfortunately, his guess was wrong, and I was short on fuel, but he did his best. So we give him those points either way.
Well, a little bit of participation points for you and the team. Ray, always a pleasure, and hope to see you do well the rest of the season, my friend.
Yep, thanks so much, James.
Thank you, buddy. That was Ray Aguilar bringing it home in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Nick Beaver in the top spot back-to-back here at Road America.
Oh, my God. I cannot believe it.
Nick, I'd go out, buy a lottery ticket, do whatever you have to do, because apparently things are just going for you this week.
I guess. After last night, I kind of screwed the pooch by throwing away the win from the J2I race, but this was an amazing way to make up for it. Oh my God, this is a lot more rewarding than that race yesterday might have been.
Yeah, I mean, back-to-back tonight as well. It seemed like things kind of worked out well for you. Now, I know Aguilar had to do a little bit more fuel saving than he was expecting, but were you thinking that you were going to be in the hunt there at the end of this thing?
No, not at all. I did not think so. So they must have gotten after the pit stops. There's maybe a gap of 4 to 5 seconds, and I thought, you know what, third's fine. I got to win tonight. That's great. But then started catching up and really catching up. And even before the pit stops, I was saving. So I thought maybe then I had a chance. Then I caught Jaden, and then I passed Jaden. And gosh, Ray was right there, and even after passing Jaden, a second would have been great. So I cannot believe the outcome. I thought I saved my push to pass till the end, and I thought that was going to work out. And that's not what ended up doing it, but gosh, it helped put me in the right spot.
Yeah, and we were talking about the broadcast and kind of calling back to your sprint race podium interview where you're saying, I don't know how the button works, I just hold it down the last 2 laps. But, I mean, it seemed like that strategy was the perfect strategy.
Yeah, it worked out. There really didn't seem like any other time that I could have needed it. And in fact, I was debating not using it at all based on how much fuel I had left. I didn't know if it probably has some extra consumption. So I was trying to save enough and then have a buffer to use the push to pass for 2 more laps.
Well, it worked out extremely well for you. I believe that was the fastest lap of the race. Yeah, it was the last lap. The only driver to break into the 140s here at Road America at all tonight. So absolutely ripping it in the number 87 machine. Getting more and more comfortable every time you're out on track in the Super Formula. And it's really cool to see you and the other J2I guys putting on a good show. But, Nick, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. The who do you want to give a shout to that helps make such a massive night possible for you? Back-to-back wins and surrounded by friends.
Exactly, and surrounded by friends. I think I have the most people watching tonight. So again, Nick and Kennedy, thank you so much for watching. And then I found out that my dad, stepmom, Mike and Jerry, thank you for watching. Oh my God, this was a really cool event for them to tune into. So thank you all. Thanks, James, for the broadcast. I'm very excited to go back and watch this one. Just an overall amazing night. Wow.
Well, Nick, it's always a pleasure, buddy. Good to have you up here in any car you're racing throughout the week. Always a pleasure, and hope to have you and your teammates back up here in the remainder of the season.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thanks, James.
Thank you, sir. That was Nick Beaver bringing it home in the number 1 spot, making it back-to-back wins here at Road America. In the feature event, he was accompanied by Ray Aguilar and Jaden Calloway. On behalf of LeagueZero.net, my name has been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Thursday night with us. As a reminder, we are off next week for Thanksgiving. No matter where you're at in the world, I hope you're equally enjoying it with family and friends wherever you are. Thank you so much, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.